We talk a lot about housekeeping in our industry, and people say, gee, I thought you were in the merger and acquisition business. And I say, well, you know, I actually have a background in the janitorial field. That's one of the first businesses I owned, which grew to have, back in the 1970s, over $250,000 a year payroll. But housekeeping is very important in the merger and acquisition field because it's one of the things that can scare a buyer away. And I don't necessarily mean that if your plant is not clean when a buyer comes walking through. What I mean is more to the financial status of your company. If you do not have a professional to come in and to work on your profit and loss statements and your balance sheet and your changes to cash, you're likely to lose the right buyer. And you know, we have a saying, you've probably heard me say it before, but the right buyer pays the right price. If that right buyer comes in and sees something in the P&L or the balance sheet that they don't like and they walk, you might have just lost the person that's going to pay the right price under the right terms. So housekeeping is a really important thing to bear in mind when you're thinking about bringing your company to market. And a good M&A professional, and I like to believe George & Company is one of the best M&A professionals that you can engage, is going to start off with putting your house in order. And part of putting your house in order is putting your financial house in order, because that is probably the most critical thing to a buyer. Obviously, if you've got proprietary rights in intellectual property or something like that, that's going to be a different story. But if you're talking about someone buying a multiple of EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, then you want that number to be as strong as possible and to have as much veracity as possible, so that if your industry is paying a 5x multiple, the right buyer will pay a 5x or better multiple. So housekeeping, very critical. We're going to talk more about this in later segments.